Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie Mirzayan. I'm the owner of Wild Bakes and Cakes. Thank you for joining me today in this class. This is going to be a super fun class because we are working with chocolate. That's one of my favorite things to do. I hope you guys like chocolate too. So this class, we are going to need a couple different things. And I know in the class handout, I didn't really include a cake recipe. It was just kind of suggested to bring your chocolate cake, either a boxed cake, or if you are baking, bring your, baked cake and stuff like that. But if you are interested, if you're ever interested in my own personal recipes, please send me a note on Instagram, which is Wild Bakes. And I'll be more than happy to share that with you guys. Okay. So I just want to let you know if I'm not including anything in the class handout, you can always reach out and ask for the recipes. All right. So with that said, today we are going to make our cute little chocolate flower pot cupcakes, and we're gonna decorate it with cute little fondant roses, okay? The color of the roses literally depends on your preference, but today I'm just gonna go ahead and use the pink and the red one. All right. All right. So with that said, let's go to our top-down camera and kind of go over what we need for the class. Thank you. All right, guys. So if you are following along today, there's going to be a couple steps the first step is going to be for us to kind of do the chocolate cups. And we're going to have to let that sit for a couple minutes in the fridge and to be able to assemble it. So if you're following along, don't worry about it. I'll walk you guys through how to get the chocolate in the cups and then, put it in the fridge for a couple minutes while you're decorating your roses, your flowers and things like that. And then we can pull the cup out of the fridge and then kind of assemble the whole thing together. Okay. And also this class is being recorded and it will be online, I believe, after 24 hours. So you guys can always go back on the Michael's YouTube channel and kind of watch there as well. Okay. All right, so let's get started. So for today, we are going to need our chocolate cake. And I went ahead and just, put my cake in there and crumbled that up with my fingers or spoon or whatever you use. So you just want it to be a little bit crumbly because this is what's going to represent our dirt in our pot. Okay. Then you are going to need some sort of a buttercream or a filling. So to layer your cake. So we're going to put some cake, we're going to layer it with some buttercream or filling, and then layer it again with more cake, just to kind of give it that cupcake feel inside the pot. Okay. And of course, we will need our chocolate. And for this one, I'm using the Sweet Tooth Fairy dark chocolate meltables. They also have a darker version of this that's more on the black side. And the other day I was at Michael's, they also had, they have like a copper looking one too, which I thought that might actually be kind of cool if you're doing kind of like the clay look of the pot, so you can definitely have fun with these things. But for this class, we're going to use the traditional round pot. All right. And for the chocolates, if you've been watching my videos or taking my classes, I always talk about the process of melting chocolate because I know sometimes when you're new to this, it could get kind of frustrating because sometimes it doesn't come out, the consistency doesn't come out the way you like it, or you end up burning the chocolate. I've done all of this and I know how frustrating it gets. So I tried to kind of go over it real quick. So according to the packaging, you need to set first of all, it's always best to use like a glass microwavable bowl for these things. Okay, don't use plastic or anything like that. And the way you want to melt them is you set your microwave to 50% power. Okay, so don't do like the regular 100%. So set it for 50% and you're going to start with 1 minute. After that, take it out, give it a good mix. Remember, the glass also gets hot, so it's also melting the chocolate as you're mixing it. So give it a good mix and pop it back in for another, for 50% power for 30-second increments. And honestly, if I'm melting a whole bag of this, I usually go through the 1 minute, and then maybe sometimes I'll hit the second 30 seconds, but within the first 30 seconds, it's already melted and ready to go. Okay. Because if you go too much, then you burn your chocolate and unfortunately you can't really use it. All right. If your chocolate is a little bit too thick on what you're trying to do, they recommend 2 teaspoons of vegetable shortening. So you put the shortening with your chocolate and then you start melting the process, or yeah, melt the melt the chocolate. Sorry, I can't find my words today. However, I don't like the vegetable shortening. Every time I use it, it ends up clumping up my chocolate. So what I do is I use 2 teaspoons of coconut oil. That works great for me. So you guys can, give it a try and see what works best for you guys. But that's just little tips and tricks on what I do. All right. Then we're going to need our fondant to be able to make our little flowers. We need circle cutters, cookie cutters, depending on how big you want your flowers to be. That's how you gauge how big of a cutter you need. I kind of have different sizes, and I'll show you guys the difference when we start making the flowers. Okay, so you'll definitely need some sort of a cutter. All right. I already have, so for the fondant, Michael's has different colors of the fondant already made in small little packages like this. They also have them in bigger buckets. But if you are only using it for small projects like this, you don't need to buy the big buckets, because once you open them, unfortunately, fondant dries out pretty quickly. And then you kind of get stuck with this dry fondant that you can't really do anything with. Okay, so just be mindful of that. But I got the red one. We're also going to do 2 other colors, so red and pink, and we need the green for the leaves. Okay, so I will show you guys how to use the white fondant to color to get the green and the pink as well. Okay, so we have our green color, food coloring, and our pink one. Michael also, I forgot to mention this in my last class, they sell these individually, which is fine. But if you're using a lot of colors all the time, they also have them in kind of like a packet of like 12 or 6 colors. Sometimes it's better just to get the packet, and that way you have all the colors that you need and you're not buying them individually. I think it becomes a little bit cheaper that way too, just so you guys know. And we need our little silicone mold for our leaves. These are super cute. I love working with them. They're so fun. We are going to need our paper cups for our pot. For this class, I think I'm using the 5-ounce cups, which they're not that big. Here's a smaller one. So here's a smaller one. I'm going with this one. You can definitely go a little bit bigger, which is like the regular coffee cup size. I'm not quite sure if that's like an 8-ounce or a 9-ounce. It just depends on your preference. If you want to make something small, you want to do something big. I've seen it where people for parties, what they'll do is they'll make a couple really big pots. They use the bigger cups, and they will use those as centerpieces for the party. And then they'll make, a whole bunch of little ones for all the guests. So that would be something super fun to kind of think about if, you have a party that's in the spring, or you have a lot of gardeners in town or in your family. But that's just another fun way to do these things. Okay. We also need our little roller to roll out our fondant. This little guy comes with the little rubbers. Okay, and they have like different widths for these things. So they have this one, the purple one, and then the pink one. And what it's for, it literally rolls out your fondant or your dough if you're making pies and things like that evenly. Okay, so you know how sometimes when you roll it out, try to spread it into like a circle or whatever, you get one side that's super thin, and you have, you know, one side that's super chunky, and you're trying to even it out, and it gets really frustrating. Well, these guys come in handy for that. All right, so just something to think about. Today I'm just going to use my little pink ones because that's the thickness that I want my fondant to be. And they're fun. You can always, you know, practice with them and just kind of find your preference and see what rubber gives you what thickness. All right. Let's see. Did I kind of cover everything, all the material? I think we are all good. All right. So we're going to start with our chocolate pot because this guy is going to have to sit in the fridge for a couple minutes to get solid so we can start assembling it. Okay. Before I move along, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat and Nicole will help me kind of navigate through the questions. Do you guys have any questions before we get started? Trying to see if I can get, okay. All right, perfect. I see a no. All right, guys. So what we are going to do, we're going to prep our little paper cups. All right. You don't need to put any oils or anything like that in there. But you do need to give make a little small cut on the tip of it because it'll make it easier when we are peeling off the paper from the chocolate. Okay. So we're just going to give it a little cut. Just like that. We don't want to go too deep because we don't want the chocolate to pour out, but just a tiny little cut. Okay. And if you have your chocolate already melted, you want to make sure it's completely melted and the consistency that you like, where it's easily, you can pour it out. I don't know if you guys could see it. And what you do, let me move all this stuff over. All right, so we have our cup, we have our melted chocolate, and what we're going to do is we're going to pour some of it inside our cup, maybe quarter way, not all the way. Okay, so just go ahead and pour it in there. All right, and you're going to start kind of moving the chocolate, gliding it around the inside. Okay, so you want to do it, sometimes you have to like do it on top of this because it's going to pour out, but you want to get it to come all the way to the tip of the cup like that, and then kind of roll it around. Okay, roll around the chocolate inside your cup, so you're covering essentially the inside of your cup all the way to the tip. Okay, you can shake it, you can move it around, however you need to get this done. You get it done. There is no right or wrong way. All right, so let me show you guys. So see, it's completely covered. Okay, and we're gonna dump out the excess out. Not too much, just enough where it's not, you know, too clumpy in there. All right, and we're gonna do it again. So we're gonna pour our chocolate back in the cup. Okay, and we're gonna smoosh it around and rotate it around and cover the walls again one more time. Okay, you want to make sure everything's covered and you're not seeing any like white clear spots. You're not seeing the cup. And then just dump out the excess chocolate back in your bowl. All right, so see, it's nicely covered. The bottom's covered, the sides are covered. I don't see any cup. All right, so now this is a good time to pop it in the fridge. So we're gonna put this in the fridge for maybe 2-3 minutes and let the chocolate sit. Okay, and the meltables are great because they harden very quickly. So you can work with them, you know, pretty quickly. You don't have to let it sit there for hours on end. So you go ahead and pop it in the fridge for a couple minutes. and you're gonna pull it back out of the fridge and make sure it's nice and solid. And you're gonna go through that process one more time, okay? Because we wanna make sure our walls are thick enough when we start peeling off our cup that we don't destroy our walls, because then essentially we have no pot to work with. All right. Any questions on that? Just want to make sure you guys know that it's a two-time process. I don't see anything. All right. Okay. So that's kind of this step. We're going to go put this in the fridge. All right. So while that's chilling, we can get started on making our cool flowers. And we'll have all of our decorations ready. So when we take out our chocolate pots, we can start assembling it. Okay. So let's color our fondant. All right. So for this, you guys want to make sure your hands are clean, especially for the white one. All right. Again, keep in mind, whatever you're not using when you open the wrapper, you guys need to make sure you put it back in some sort of a wrapper, plastic wrapper or foil wrapper, or just kind of, twist this all the way around and make sure it's nicely inside the wrapping, because it'll dry out and then you won't be able to use it. Okay. So we need two sets of this. If you already bought the pink fondant, then obviously you just need to make the green one. But if you are like me and you're missing a color, you can kind of separate this to the two chunks. Actually, I'm going to do my pink one a little bit more because we're going to need to make petals. All right. Get that there. Okay, so we have the pink one and we have our green one that we're going to do. All right. So another side note, the colors, the food colorings are very saturated and they literally stain everything. Okay, your fingers, everything. So it's best if you have gloves when you're coloring your fondant, because then you don't end up staining your fingers. But I'm just going to be a wild child right now and just use my hands. Okay. All right. So the way we do this, make sure my color is open. Again, very saturated, so you don't want to end up dumping a whole bunch of color on your fondant because it'll just be a mushy mess. Okay, so start slow. Just gonna put in one drop, kind of like that, and then go from there. If you need to add more, if it's not dark enough for you, then you can always do that. All right. And what you want to do is, the way I do it that works for me is I'll like make a sandwich out of it, kind of hide it in the middle, and then start pulling it. Pulling. It's still going to get on your fingers, don't get me wrong, but this kind of minimizes the mess a little bit. So you just kind of pull and fold, and you keep doing that until you get everything nicely colored. Okay, just like that. And it's really fun. It's like Play-Doh. And you can see the colors kind of starting to come in. It's not as dark as I hoped it would be. So now we're going to add more green. Okay. Let's see. All right. A little side note on fondant: if it gets too sticky on your hands, you can always use vegetable shortening to kind of rub it over just a little bit, not too much, and that'll help it from sticking to your hands. And you can also put it on your surface, like rub that a little bit so your fondant doesn't stick to your table or whatever it is that you're using. I highly suggest, oops, I'm making a mess here, to use like parchment paper, things like that. But, sometimes we just use our countertops, which is okay. All right, see how it's getting darker now, and I'm making a huge mess. I don't know. There we go. All right, so I got my green, the shade that I want. Make sure all the color is nicely incorporated in there. Okay, that one is good to go, and it's starting to stick to my hand, so I'll show you guys how to do this as well. And all you need is literally just a little bit. And kind of rub over it, and that helps from it not sticking. Okay, so we have our green. I have a huge mess here. Okay, now let's make sure our hands are somewhat clean for our next color. This is what I mean. It gets really, really messy. Okay, so now we're going to do our pink one. Again, just make a sandwich, couple drops, depending on, what shade you want. Start slow or small, and then add from there. Like that. And I know different bakers and decorators, they have their own little special way that they color their fondants and things like that. For me, it's like what works best for you. Kind of go that route. Okay, so I got my pink nicely covered and the shade that I want. Okay, so that's ready to go. And of course I have my, well, let me do the pink one first before I open up the red, okay? Because essentially making the rose, it's the same process, whatever color we choose, okay? Let's put my colors away so I don't make more mess over here. Put all this there. All right. So for our rose, it's super easy. It's very simple and it's really fun. I'm gonna rub this here a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and roll out our first color for our rose. Okay, you don't want it to be too thick and you don't want it to be too thin, okay? Because if it's too thin, it's not gonna work. If it's too thick, it's gonna look kind of weird. Weird and lumpy, and we don't want that. All right, so we want it to be okay, it doesn't matter if it's round, square, as long as it's evenly rolled out, you're good to go. And I think for our first one, I'm going to use this little guy. And what you need is 5 circles. Okay, so go ahead and cut out 5 circles. 2, 3, 4, oops, 5. You can experiment eventually and maybe do more petals. I wouldn't suggest going any less than 5 because it doesn't end up looking too cool, but 6, 7, and then see what your rose starts to look like. All right. So now we are going to layer our circles, and we're going to layer them like this halfway from our first circle. Okay, so that's going to go there. This is going to get layered there, just like that. Okay, so now we have them nicely layered. And now we're going to roll it in like this from the top. You don't want to squeeze it too hard. Just a gentle pressure just to kind of make sure it's rolling. Okay, so just kind of roll, make sure they're all rolling with you. You're not leaving any circles behind. And like that. Okay, and each side should look like that. So essentially we're getting 2 roses with one cut. Okay, and what you could do is you can cut the middle, separate your roses, and you want to pinch the bottom a little bit. Make sure you guys could see that. Okay. And now our petals look super cute. We're gonna open them up one by one. All right. So we want to start from the outside petal and just kind of gently open it up, just like that. And if you want to get super fancy, I mean, you know, there are tools out there that you can use to give it texture, to kind of thin out the edges. And those are obviously more advanced classes and process, but this is what I wanted to show you guys. It works perfectly fine, super cute. And you don't need all those tools to do that. All right, so we're gonna let that sit there. Do the same thing with our other one, just pinch the bottom. Sometimes you don't need to pinch the bottom and it needs to be flat depending on where you're putting your roses. So just kind of be mindful of that, okay? This one, we need it to be pinched a little bit because it's gonna go inside our dirt, inside the pot, okay? So again, starting from the outside petal, you wanna just kind of open and separate, just like that. All right. And if you wanted to, what you could do is, which is super cool, so we have one size, maybe our next color flower, we can make it a little bit smaller, just so we have, you know, a variety of different roses in our pot. I'm gonna cover this guy up. And let's make our, well, let's do the red one, since we're on a rose pick right now. So for this one, I want to use a smaller cutter so we can have a smaller rose, okay? But you could do whatever you want to do. You can even go bigger. If you want to put like one big giant rose inside your pot, you could do that as well. Get super creative, guys. It's whatever you want to do. This is your pot. All right. So same concept. We're gonna roll this out. We don't want it to be too thin. So now that I'm looking at it, I think my circles were a little bit too thick because it kind of looks a little bit chunky, right? So this one, I'm going to thin it out a little bit more just to see. All right, so go ahead and roll out your fondant, whatever color you want to do. Now that we're fall, we could, you know, do fall colors. That would have been super cool. Okay. Let's make sure I can get 5 of these. All right. I think it's thinned out enough. All right. I'm going to use a smaller cutter. Again, we need 5 at least, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to layer our fondant. Start from the top, go to the middle of the next one, and then next one, all the way down. All right, now we're going to roll it in. All right, so you want to start from the top. Make sure you're grabbing all the circles, slight pressure, and go all the way. All right. So we have our 2 roses. We cut that in from the middle, separate them. Okay, pinch the bottom. All right, and then starting from the outside petal, just kind of peel it out slowly to get our cute little rose look. Okay, there we go. Put that there. Same thing here. And you guys can go even smaller just by using smaller cutters. You know, you can definitely have so much fun with these. Okay. And essentially it's the same process, right? It doesn't matter how big your cutter is or is not. Okay, so we have our roses done. Now let's make our leaves. And then we're gonna grab our chocolates and create our pots and assemble the pot. Okay, that's the fun part. So for the leaves, this one, we already have a mold, which makes things super easy, right? So you just kind of want to pick whatever style you want or whatever size you want. Essentially, it doesn't matter. It's what you want to do, how you want your piece to look like. And what you do is you just kind of take a piece of your fondant and put it on the silicone mold. You know what? I'm actually going to do a few at the same time. So you can definitely kind of do that where you cover a few holes at the same time, push it in all the way, make sure you're getting it nicely. You're covering all the crevices, right? You can even roll it out with your roller gently because you don't want to lift too much of the fondant. Okay, and the goal is just to make sure we have nice solid pieces to pull out. Okay, so I'm just going to get that off and we're going to peel it off gently. Like that. Sometimes your fondant is a little too loosey-goosey. It gets a little bit hard to pull it out, but you need patience. Okay, this one is giving me a hard time here, but here we go. All right, see how cute they turn out? And all you have to do is just essentially with a knife or an X-Acto knife or something sharp and just, outline it and cut your leaves out, okay? So we're going to use a knife for mine and just kind of cut it out. Sometimes they peel off. So if you like pull the fondant, it just kind of comes off anyways. You just have to be super gentle. But it helps if you're cutting it so that way you're not ripping it off from what it needs to look like, right? Okay, so got one. And you don't have to worry about it not being perfect because once you pull it out, then with your fingers, you can kind of guide your leaf to however you want it to look like. All right. So we have one like that. Any questions so far on what we're doing here? Trying to see. No? Okay. Well, if you guys do think of something, just put it right in the chat. Nicole will help me and get all that answered. All right. So I'm going to cut. So my goal is to have two leaves in each pot. So I'm going to have 4 total. You can, again, you can do whatever it is that you guys want to do to your piece. You can have 1, you can have, 4 little ones, 1 big one, whatever works, right? All right, so cut this guy out. And again, it's not perfect, which is okay. We can use our finger just to kind of guide the shape a little bit. All right. So I'm going to do my 2 little ones here. Cut these out. Okay. I know working with fondant is really fun, but sometimes when you start getting into like decorating like little things, you need patience. And sometimes it's hard, especially if you're making a whole bunch of them. Oh my gosh, then you have to sit there and cut them all, which is fine, but again, it's very time consuming, right?
Melanie, Aubrey asked in chat, what if you cut it wrong on accident?
Oh, that's okay. I do it all the time. You just roll your fondant back into a ball and start the process all over again. It literally, that's the good part. Like you can't mess it up, right? So for example, here, I'll do one. So it's like, oh, oops, I made a mistake. But I need, a couple more. I already have the mold, so it's not like I'm starting from scratch, right? I'm not building this this leaf, right? I already have something, a guide that I'm gonna use. So just the same thing. Use your fondant. I'm actually gonna put a little bit of stuff on there, the shortening, because it's starting to stick to my mold. Okay, same thing. You just make your bowl, put it back in whichever one you want, or put it all over, and you can kind of go from there. Squeeze it, push it down hard enough to make sure you're getting the leaf stamped into your fondant, right? And peel it up. And kind of, there we go. And you start over. I know sometimes it's pain in the butt to do that. You're like, oh, I already had it and messed it up, but it happens. Hopefully that helped answered your question. All right, so I'm going to cut my last one out so we can move on to our next step. Okay. All right. So now we have our decorations ready to go. And if you are following along, this is a good time to pull out your chocolate cup out of the fridge. And I will show you guys how to kind of, get it out of the cup essentially. All right, let me clean my stuff. So here's mine, straight out of the fridge. It's nice and solid. Okay. There's no wet parts. It's been sitting there for a while. I know it's good to go. Now, all I have to do is locate my little cut that I did earlier. Okay. And I want to grab that and start pulling it away from the chocolate. And this is where you have to have patience and you have to be super gentle because you don't want to start breaking your chocolate cup because you're like, oh, I'm just gonna, rip this off or whatever. It doesn't work. It will break because chocolate is very fragile. So once you find your little cut, start pulling it off, peeling it off. Okay, you're going to start to get some chocolate kind of breaking off from the top. That's okay. It actually gives it like a nice, cool, rustic feel to your pot. So for me, it's actually a cool little element to it. So I'm not worried about it as long as you're not getting huge chunks getting ripped out of your cup, right? Your chocolate. So just go ahead and rip the paper slowly. All right, just like that. All the way through. And there we go. So just take your time. Don't get frustrated and start squeezing it and try to go super fast because you will break your pot. And I say this because I have done all these things, all these mistakes I have made. And it's not fun. Okay, so now we have our pot ready to go. If you don't like the rough edges, you can definitely use a knife to kind of shave off the top very gently because you don't want to, again, you don't want to break your chocolate. It's still a thin piece of, the walls are pretty thin. Okay, so you can kind of do that as well. You can warm up the blade under hot water, but then, make sure it's dry. And then you can kind of smooth out the top because the heat from the blade will melt off the chocolate just enough to get it nice and smooth. Okay, so that's another way to get it nice and perfect if you're like, I kind of don't want the edges to look like that. For me, I like it. It adds character, but all right. So I actually have two pre-made. And now we're going to go ahead and assemble our pots. This is where the fun starts. I'm going to clean up my mess a little bit. All right. Any questions, guys, before we go to the next step? Okay. Okay. I don't see anything. Again, feel free to type it all in there. All right. Mess out of the way. So now we need our dirt. Every pot needs dirt. So this is our chocolate cake. and you need some sort of a buttercream or a filler because we're gonna layer our cake inside the pot. Okay. Now, do you absolutely have to have buttercream or some sort of a filler? No, you can essentially just fill your cup with your dirt and then decorate on top. For me, if someone's eating it, if I'm eating it, I kind of want to have that extra little pop in there of sweetness, just like you would eating a cupcake, right? So again, it's just at the end of the day, this is all preference. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But for today's class, we're going to layer it just so you guys could see how that's done. All right. So what you need to do is we need to fill our first layer with our chocolate cake. Okay. So just using a spoon or a spatula, just go ahead and fill it in there. Maybe quarter way there. Okay. And you want to push it down just a little bit. Okay. So you don't want to like push it so hard so it's like nice and firm and flat in there, but you kind of don't want it to be super fluffy. Okay. So just kind of push that in there. Maybe I'll add a little bit more to mine. Okay. And now we're gonna do our buttercream for our second layer. Now for this one, it's easier to use like a piping bag. So essentially you would put your buttercream in a piping bag and then pipe it in there, which might be easier. You know what? Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that just to show you guys. Or you can just use your spoon and, dump a little bit in there and kind of get it nicely leveled. But since we're talking about it, let's just do it. All right, so I got my piping bag. They have different sizes. I know I talk about this all the time, 16-inch and 12-inch. Obviously, the 12-inch will be a lot smaller, which would be perfect for projects like this because you don't need a whole huge bag to fill your buttercream in. Unfortunately, mine is the big one, as you can see, but that's okay. All right. So also, here's a little fun tip for those of you who are new to my classes. I usually use like a tall plastic or glass, it doesn't matter, cup, right? I'll put my piping bag in there. Kind of roll this over the top. And now it's hands-free place for me to whatever it is that I'm putting in there without making any huge mess. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my buttercream or my filling, whatever it is that you guys are using, right in there. All right. Okay. And all you have to do is just roll it over, lift, and you are good to go. Okay. So now we're just gonna push this down all the way. And we need to cut the tip. And again, always be mindful of how much you're cutting, because if you go super high and you have this big giant hole, then everything just pours out, right? So it's always best to kind of start small. So make small cuts. Go from there. Okay, so I think that should be fine. All right. We're gonna push this all the way down. There we go. And if you're holding it like this, sorry, my fingers are all colored, you just twist and twist. So that way you have a nice little grip and you can control it. You can, squeeze as much as you want, and it's easy to work with it. So now we're just going to squeeze some in there. All right, so that's our layer of buttercream. And we're going to do the same process. Now we're going to add more dirt, chocolate cake. You can either do a couple more layers of it like this, or you can just say, you know what, one layer of buttercream is fine. the cup is kind of small, I'm good. And if that's the case, we'll just finish it off with our cake, okay? And you want the cake to kind of to go all the way to the top. And the top layer, you want it to be nice and fluffy, because it gives you the illusion of it's dirt. Hopefully you guys could see that, right? All right, so now we have our pot ready to go. Now we're gonna decorate with our cute little flowers we made. Okay, and all you have to do is just start putting them in there. There's no special way of doing it. Just kind of put your roses and then your leaves, whatever you think looks best. You just kind of set it up. You can, and again, it comes in handy if you have that little tip, because it's easy just to, you know, set it inside. Okay, you don't have to have it, but it makes it easier. All right, I'm gonna put this guy, our leaf, over here. So we have our first one done. Look how cute this is. These are perfect little treats, dessert treats for parties. I know kids love them. My kids, my son is 6 and he loves stuff like this. He thinks it's the coolest thing when it's realistic looking to something, but you can eat it. He just thinks it's the funnest thing. All right, so we have one more left. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that just so you guys could see it one more time, how we fill this in. We start with our chocolate cake, okay? And we just layer it all in. All right, I'm gonna push it down just a little bit on the first one. And again, we have our filler, buttercream or any kind of filling. And we're just gonna give it a nice, good squeeze in there. All right. And we're gonna top it off with more dirt. Just like that. A quick side note on this one. I had a student ask do I have to always use chocolate cake? The answer is yes and no. It all depends on how realistic you want it to look. So essentially what you could do is, let's just say you want to use red velvet, right? So you can make your red velvet cake and you can start the bottom layers. So your red velvet cake, your cream cheese frosting, your red velvet cake, but the top layer, you want to have something brown. Okay, you guys can even like crush up Oreos if you wanted to, just for the top layer. Obviously, it's not as good as using, you know, fluffy chocolate cake like this, because it literally looks like dirt. But that's another way to go around not using chocolate cake. You just have to get creative, all right? Or you don't even have to have looking dirt. You can have pink cake. It's all what you want to do.
And Melanie, I had someone ask, how long before an event can these be made?
Um, let's see. You can definitely make the chocolate pots anytime, right? Because chocolate doesn't go bad. So you can make your pots maybe a week before the event if you wanted to, and just make sure they're nicely covered, airtight container. They don't even have to be refrigerated, especially if you're using the meltables, right? If you're using an actual kind of restaurant grade chocolate, and you know, that's a little bit different. That's a whole different beast of blooming and all those things, which we're not going to get into. But if you're using the meltables, you can make your cups ahead of time, a week if you want to, just so you have them all ready to go. For your cake, you obviously don't want it to be for it to sit too long, because then the cake starts to get stale, you know. So I would say the assembly should probably be done a day before the event. If you want to push it to 2 days before the event, that's okay too. It all comes down to how you store it, right? You should be fine. And it's not like the cake's going to go bad and it's going to poison people or anything like that. It's just, it comes down to freshness, essentially. Okay.
And then Melanie, another question from someone else, but similarly related. If you make the chocolate cups ahead of time, how long do you think they will last for?
Oh my gosh, forever. However long your these chocolates last in these bags, it's essentially the same thing, right? You're just reshaping what's in here. So I would say probably good month. I mean, again, it all comes down to storing it, right? If you're just going to sit it on the counter without it being covered or stored properly, it's probably not going to be the best idea. But if you have it nicely covered, airtight container, no moisture, heat's not getting into it, so you know it's not melting in the container. You could probably get away with a good month, I would say, maybe longer, but it comes down to experimenting. But I would feel comfortable to tell you guys a good solid month, you should be fine. Unless you're mixing like weird things with it, you know. But if you're just literally melting this chocolate and reshaping it into a cup, you should be fine.
And Melanie, someone else also asked, can you add fruit instead of cake?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, that would actually be amazing. You just have to make sure you can use fruit, you can use whipped cream with the fruit. That would be super delicious. You just have to make sure your fruit is completely dried, right? If you're washing it, make sure it's like if it's strawberries or blueberries or anything like that, they're completely dry because you don't want water with chocolate. They don't like each other. And if you're going to go that route, then I would say once you make the cups with your fruits and whether it's buttercream or whipped cream, then it's probably best just to serve it that day. Okay. And if you already have it filled with the fruit and your whipped cream, then I would keep it in the fridge until the party's ready before you bring it out. Because then the fruit gets kind of soggy or moisture builds up and then, you know, it gets kind of gross in there with the chocolate. But that's such a good idea. I never even thought about doing it that way.
How long before an event could you make the fondant flowers?
The fondant flowers, you can make them like 2 months before the event. The fondant doesn't go bad. Okay. The only thing that does happen is they dry out, so they become kind of clay-like firm. So then you can't eat it because it's too hard. So if the goal or the intent is I want my guests to be able to eat everything here, then I would say maybe make your flowers, you know, a few days before the event and make sure it's covered up in a plastic wrapping so it doesn't, you know, get super hard. So that way they can eat it. Not a lot of people like to eat fondant. I like to eat fondant. But but if you don't care if they end up eating them or not, you can make them like months ahead of time and just, you know, make sure it's stored properly. But they will be on the more firm side and you can just decorate your pieces, no problem. I hope that answered your question. Anything else, guys? Want to know? Essentially, you know, oh well, before I say that, let's go ahead and finish our pot with our cute little flowers we have left. But what I was going to say, essentially, you guys can get super creative with these cups. Now you have these cups made. What else can you fill it with, right? So just start thinking from that perspective. And if you guys come up with super cool ideas, I would love to see what you guys do. You can definitely, if you're sharing it on like Instagram, I'm mainly on Instagram. If you tag me Wild Bakes or Make It with Michaels, I'll be able to see what you guys do. That would be very fun to see. All right. So as you guys can see, we did a few different sizes for the leaves. They all look good. It's just preference. We have this little guy ready to go. And you can cut it and start enjoying your dessert. All right. And that's essentially how this is done. You guys obviously are not stuck with making roses in there, right? You can make any kind of flower from fondant and put it in there. I've also actually seen on Pinterest this lady, she put real edible flowers in there. you know, she did the whole cake thing, and then instead of fondant flowers, she put real flowers. So that's another idea. It's whatever you guys want to do. Super fun. All right, if you guys are all good and no questions, no comments, we'll go ahead and wrap up the class. I hope you enjoyed making these things. They're so super fun. I hope you guys learned a few different techniques on how to do your roses and your leaves and things like that. If you end up having any questions after class, again, I always send people to my Instagram page. That's like the best place to contact me. And I'll make sure to get back to you with whatever it is that you need. Okay. With that said, next class, I think it's next week for me, and it's a butter cookie. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna make them look like ice cream cones with different colors, fun fall colors. And I'll also show you guys how to package them to kind of use them as treats or gifts, which is, you know, holidays coming up. That could be a fun little trick to have on the side pocket. All right, so don't forget to sign up for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this class and hope to see you guys in my next class. Have a good day, guys.